I feel like I always wanted to do this type of music, and then I feel like rap is in like a weird like space right now because it's just seems like everybody beefing, and it's just like some of the biggest, two of the biggest artists in the world, like Clash, and a lot of like the fucking ripple effect that came out. Weird. I feel like it's time. I feel like we gotta like take it to the next level. We gotta level up like AI.
Might be a little bit of an understatement to say sometimes Young Thug isn't the best communicator. Congratulations to him and Mariah the Scientist on their engagement. But I also feel like sometimes Young Thug lacks a little bit of awareness. Now, I know you guys have beat him up a lot for this take, specifically because he's been doing something that I think a few people, commentators and artists have been doing that tend to be very closer to Drake or loyal to Drake and or maybe are more party MCs, etc. They tend to kind of blame the state of hip hop towards the beef. They'll kind of use it as a cover. And I think that's wrong. I think that is what it is, right? That there's a lot of things going on as far as the commercial health of the genre. But another thing that I do want to talk about, right? We can move the labels. Obviously, that's important, right? When we talk about commercial performance of the genre, where the labels choose to invest their money, because it is what it is, right? That matters to an extent, right? But the one piece that I think people really underestimate, someone like a Young Thug really underestimates, is how the music isn't matching the current environment. Like a lot of guys, and what do I mean by that? It's not matching the timeline. And for example, 21 Savage project just dropped, and people are like, oh, it's not performing as well as it should, and this, that, and the third. And I'm not necessarily saying because we're in some very weird, odd times, everybody should be making depression struggle music. But I've even noticed, right, particularly with hip hop, even the upbeat party records, community records match the times. Whether it was about talking about what was going on, whether it was about even like tempo and BPM, matching what was going on, whether it was about the specific sounds, and some of the stuff is subconscious. Y'all wouldn't even notice, right? Like I'll give you an example. I know Kanye, for me at least, like it's kind of like persona non grata a lot lately. But when I think back of Kanye's 04, kind of 05 stage with College Dropout and Late Registration, and I think about where the United States was, right? Like, and I think of going to it, even more than that, going towards Katrina. The things he would say, not only on TV, but the music he was putting out, like Gold Digger. We was getting ready to move into a recession. Earlier on, George Bush was president. They talk about war and terror. He was talking about dropping out of college, getting into an accident. Mama was talking about Jesus Walks, right? The music, he didn't have to speak specifically all the time towards whatever was going on in the news, but the music felt like it matched that, right? And even somebody say like, oh, okay, well, I use a 50 Cent, for example, right? When you look at 50 Cent in 03, you look at New York after 9/11, you look at who 50 Cent is, right, and was, and after getting shot and the resiliency, coming back, that comeback story, and then becoming, was blackballed. 50 Cent's story doesn't have to necessarily match New York 9/11, right? But that energy of grit and resiliency, and I feel like for someone like Young Thug, right, who just comes out of jail, right, we see a lot of drama in his life. He's supposed to be having some kind of comeback story. The lack of awareness, and I know I'm spitballing a lot here, but just walk with me. The lack of awareness when he came out and was doing the stuff he was doing online regarding Gunna, right? When Gunna himself, at least in how he was projecting to the world, was starting to take care of his health. We're in an era now where a lot of younger people are trying to be a little more cognizant of taking care of themselves, running, lifting weights. He was the one doing that. And Thug didn't come out of jail showing all those things. Was more kind of like on the drama. Then when he did the interview that I thought kind of maybe made him look odd in certain places, but some places did help him. And then the music came out, and it was just like the music even itself didn't really match. There was the N-word song, nigga, like it was like, but that didn't really speak towards actual, racial issues. You just see a guy that doesn't click like with what's going on when he could have. We know we need this administration that's in. We know the story of a lot of people trying to make ends meet, even though corporate entities are on 10, right? Young Thug, even as a millionaire, could have probably spoke towards, hey, I'm coming out of jail. I lost a lot. I gotta make some money back, and I'm changing my life. This is what and then shit don't match. So when you talk about leveling up and combating AI, hip hop superpower is rooted in that. And when you guys aren't doing that, and you might have did it when you were in the underground, but now you lost sight of that, and then you're like, oh, we gotta level up, or the battle might have changed things. I think you just aren't being aware, right? And this is something that can be deep for, like, I could do a 1-hour essay on this. But I think that's a piece that people are missing, right? And I think what a lot of people, mistakes a lot of people make is they always say, like, oh, you're not necessarily rapping specifically about what's going on. Some people don't have that range. But the sounds, the frequency has to match. And if you can put the words in there that also match what's going on with your community, because there's different communities all over America, right? But your community, like, your Atlanta community, your niche, your people, I think Young Thug has a lot to say, and I felt like you dropped the album and you didn't say a lot. And every time you do speak, you aren't showing much self-awareness and growth. So it's not translating with the music, and then you have it, right? Like, there's a lot of guys that do it well that don't have the commercial appeal, so you guys won't see it on the charts. But the guys that do, stop complaining, use your commercial appeal plus your superpower, and get the genre back to where it needs to be.